Good morning. Good morning. I am so glad to be with everyone here today to celebrate the completion of the Meyergrove Stormwater Detention Basin. I'm Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, and I am so delighted to be here this morning with all of you, of course, who have worked tirelessly on this project and helped make it possible, and of course with Houston City Council member Abby Kamen, with Harris County Commissioner Precinct 1 Rodney Ellis, and with Harris County Flood Control District Executive Director Dr. Tina Peterson, and so many community leaders without whom this project would not have happened. Since my very first day in Congress, I've worked with community leaders to secure resources and address the threat and the reality of flooding in our community, and to get funding to improve our infrastructure, especially our water conveyance and flood mitigation infrastructure. And what we see today, and what we are celebrating, and what we're about to cut the ribbon on, is the result of collaboration between everybody standing here to really make sure that we're taking care of and keeping our community safe, and that we are working together to build for the future. So protecting our community from flooding is a collaborative effort, and I really want to thank the leaders who are here today for working with me so well and for so long to make this happen. As a reminder, I asked Congress to include $9,950,000 in federal funding for this project, as you can see on the sign here in front, through a process in Congress where members of Congress can ask for specific funding for specific projects in our community. And I was able to secure this funding for the Harris County Flood Control District. It's a great, great project. And I am going to turn in a minute to the Flood Control's Executive Director, Tina Peterson, to talk about the details of what this basin does and how it does it. But before I do that, I want to take a minute to talk about how we came to be here today. I think we all know the why. We only really need one word, and that's Harvey. But you can add Tax Day and you can add Memorial Day, and we really don't need to say more than that. Commissioner Ellis knows all about how Harris County voters approved a $2.5 billion bond to finance projects like this and flood reduction projects across Harris County back in 2018, $18 million of which was for property acquisition and construction of the basin. And also, he knows all about how he worked to deliver funds from Precinct 1 and to help work with FEMA to fund the trails that we see here and the amenities, making it even better, more than detention. Councilmember Kamen, of course, knows how she and the city of Houston were crucial partners in making sure that the city could acquire this property, and worked so hard to make sure that that happened, not just for District C, but for people all across our community. And then working with them, I asked Congress to give us nearly $10 million, and we got it in 2022. Less than a year ago, we broke ground on this project, and today we're cutting the ribbon. This basin is a real testament to the collaboration of community leaders, and it is a much needed improvement that will have a real impact for people in this community. Congress has the power to allocate funding to further our community's goals of all kinds, and I am glad to support so many of our community's priorities with my requests, and to support them in real and tangible ways. And before I turn the program over to Councilmember Kamen, I just want to take a minute to talk about something that's on my mind. It is related, and I think it's on the minds of people across our community. And that is President Trump's orders stopping federal funding for projects like this one and programs of all kinds. As many of you know, President Trump has signed a series of executive orders that attempt to block federal funds that Congress lawfully appropriated, trying to block these federal funds from being obligated or being spent because they do not match his agenda. This week, the Office of Management and Budget issued a memo to implement those orders and to block funds, while also forcing agencies to provide additional information on all kinds of federal assistance. The clear implication of this request was that the executive orders may result in the Office of Management and Budget and the President targeting an even wider swath of funds than what's already covered in his executive order. Now, under pressure, In court ruling, the White House rescinded that OMB memo less than 24 hours after it issued it. But as the White House press secretary wrote on social media right after, she said the president's executive orders on federal funding remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented. This has caused chaos and confusion across our community and across our country for projects of all kinds. I've been meeting and talking with people this whole week about the kinds of projects and programs that were and may be impacted. Programs like Head Start, Meals on Wheels, payments to Medicaid, and the list goes on and on and on. And while there is uncertainty for some of these programs because the pause was lifted, there's absolute clarity that President Trump's executive order attacks Congress's historic investments in our communities in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This project here was funded through a different mechanism, but so many projects in our area have been funded fully or in part from the law that we passed just a few years ago. And I remind you, it is the law. The president is withholding funds that Congress has directed be spent. The projects under attack in these executive orders: a $10 million Harris County study to evaluate drainage capacity and flood mitigation. Airport improvements, we've gotten $164 million for our airports under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. $62 million to Metro for electric and natural gas buses, low emission vehicles, loans to companies here that do innovative research, whether it is decarbonizing ethanol, increasing solar capacity, developing new technologies, and more. Overall, our region has gotten more than $1 billion from these transformative laws that Congress has passed. But now President Trump has illegally stopped billions of dollars in approved funding, creating chaos here and across the country. That hurts families, that hurts businesses, that kills jobs, it undermines our national security and our emergency preparedness. President Trump's attempt to steal resources promised to American families and communities unilaterally and unlawfully is wrong. We see here this morning what is right. We see why these investments are so important. We see what they can do, and we see why having government that works efficiently, effectively, and collaboratively is the government that we need and deserve. With that, I'm going to turn the program over to Councilmember Abby Kamen, whose partnership is incredibly important in this work, in this project, and of course, I'm happy to take questions after we complete our remarks.